Today, I'm joined by Tracy Bond. Tracy is an SLP and CEO, as well as a wife, mom of three girls, and a grandmother. Ma'am, is
That's
that
it.
what they call you? Oh, I love that.
Yes.
To a 7-year-old granddaughter. She received her undergraduate degree in speech and hearing sciences from the University of South Alabama and her graduate degree in speech language pathology from the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. She also obtained her, how do you pronounce that?
EDS,
Okay, makes sense. EDS and
educational
instructional
specialist.
there you go. In instructional technology from the University of West Georgia. And she's been an SLP since 1993, but is not actively servicing clients. And she'll talk about why. I think this next line will kind of illustrate that. She has three pediatric multidisciplinary clinics that include speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, from ages 0 to 16, and she opened her first private practice in December of 2019. Wow. That was with 4 staff, and your second was in June of 2021, and your third was in June of 2022. So it seems like every year you're able to open up a new practice. That's amazing.
We
And your
took a
clinics
break in 2023.
okay, gotcha. You're like, "We're ready to keep growing." That's amazing.
Yes.
So your clinics see around 900 visits per week company wide, and you currently have 55 employees. You have aspirations to open up two more clinics in 2024, and you've had the ability to help so many children and families and want to continue to help more daily. It's called the Spot Clinic, and it has a clear vision and strong core values, which are instilled in all the team members. I love that. Thank you so much for coming on today, Tracy.
Thank you for having me.
So you were kind of sharing what you're at right now, but can you tell the listeners what you are doing? Because you're currently in a hotel room.
I am. I am in California, which is a long way from Alabama, and I am attending a private practice owners conference this weekend. It's put on by Survival Strategies, and the Facebook page is Pizza and it's amazing. It gives you a wealth of knowledge.
So cool. Well, does that cover everything in terms of bio before we start jumping into the topics and questions?
I think so. I think you got it all.
Perfect. So tell us, why is it important to have a department for HR that's separate from being the business owner of a private practice?
I started out doing everything, and I realized pretty quickly that one of my weaknesses was onboarding. So, just in June of last year, I hired my first HR manager, and it has been a game changer. We also did a program for hiring and retention through Survival Strategies, which has really taught us how to retain those employees that we're getting in. But hiring that HR manager has taken that off of me, and we've really developed an onboarding program so that all of our new staff feel very trained, very confident in their positions. And it's also a leadership training, so it helps those who are interested in leadership have more of those skills.
That's amazing. Do you feel like you can hire any HR person, or does it have to be someone that had some basic knowledge of our field?
Mine are not in the field. I have one that was an LPN and I have one that was an actual teacher. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone in our field because we field mostly through HR, we field mostly questions about hiring, retention, benefits, that kind of thing. We do have clinic managers that handle all the clinical questions.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you're at a point now where that's something that you absolutely needed. At what point in someone's private practice should they consider getting an HR person?
Much before I did. I would consider once you get up to, 15, 20 employees, that's when you need one, just because it gets completely overwhelming with keeping up with the paperwork and making sure your benefits are in line. And it's just and all the onboarding checklists that we have now, it's just completely overwhelming for just myself, in addition to all the other CEO duties that I have. And it's been very beneficial for our clinic managers too, because they were also having to do part of that and they don't have a whole lot of time in their
Right.
schedules to do that kind of thing. So it's been beneficial for all of us.
How many employees do you have now?
55.
Wow. Okay. That's a lot. Did you
Yes.
feel like you grew a lot faster after getting that HR department?
Well, we of course have that regular turnover that everybody has, people moving. We've had several that have left for maternity leave and decided to stay home with babies. But we have hired a lot of, I hate to say non-revenue producing staff just because all of our staff produce revenue in some way. But we've hired a lot of managers and kind of people on the front end. So since June, when my HR manager came along, we have hired, I've lost count. Last time it was up to
Mm.
26, but I think it's more than that now. So we've hired to replace some that left. We've hired more on the ground staff and, some therapists as well.
Just like off the cuff question, what do you love about being a business owner right now in this season?
At this point in time, it's flexibility. I have some
Okay.
flexibility and I have a lot of staff that, of course, I may be a little biased, but I feel like the best staff in the world. So I'm lucky to have them. We have a true work family. And in addition to just that, just seeing the progress with the kids and being able to have those relationships with the families, but not only the families, we have relationships with all of our referring physicians. So it's nice to have those relationships, those trusting relationships with all of those people.
That's amazing. So, how do you help your new staff feel welcomed and well trained?
With onboarding checklist have helped tremendously, but when they walk in the door, we have a box and it has the Spot Clinic name on it and the logo on it. And everybody in the clinic signs that box, as well as myself, signs that box. And in the box, there's things, a little snack and some water and some notebooks and post-it notes and all those kind of office materials that you don't necessarily know where they are at the very beginning. So that's one thing we do. We have a scavenger hunt, and the scavenger hunt will take everybody through the clinic, and you'll look for things like pens and gloves and where the evaluations are. And so we have a whole scavenger hunt so they feel more at home with where everything is. Even before that, we do 3 interviews. So we really feel comfortable with them and they feel comfortable with us, which is even more important. But when they come in, we always make sure we send out an email to let everybody know, hey, they're coming today. So when they know that they're coming in, everybody greets them and makes them feel welcome. We have a mentor and a buddy system. A mentor is typically somebody that's in their field. So if they have specific questions that they need answered or questions about the EMR, that kind of thing, they're in their field. The buddy may not necessarily be in their field. It may be just somebody that's been there that has a really enthusiastic personality that can help them with anything else, possibly take them to lunch and get to know them a little bit better.
Those are great suggestions, I think, for anybody who has a private practice, is growing it, and wants to have that sense of community within their
Mhm.
practice. It's a really great point. It, are all of your services in person? Are any virtual?
We do all in person now.
Okay.
Insurance is very picky with us in Alabama about who can be seen via telepractice. So all of ours are in person at this time.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. And then you have that sense of family within your staff. That's awesome.
Yes.
So, where are you finding your employees? What are some ideal places to recruit staff?
We use actually Bamboo HR. So they post our positions on Indeed, Glassdoor, and ZipRecruiter. So we do a lot of posts there. We do a lot of Facebook ads. Sometimes we do boosted ads on Handshake or on LinkedIn. Then we also do a lot of recruiting from staff. So, if somebody can refer somebody that they know, that they're familiar with, then that's a great person to look at. We offer a recruitment bonus to our staff members if they find somebody that comes on board. So they get a bonus the first day they start, they get one at 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year. So with those 4 bonuses together, they can make up to an additional $1,000 for that recruitment bonus.
Oh, that's great. That's and
So that's
it gives
been
them an
very
incentive to be
beneficial.
their buddy, right? Or their mentor.
Yes,
That's great.
exactly, exactly.
I love that. I was talking to somebody recently and she said that her company spent like $45,000 on Indeed. You're you're giving me the eyes right now. I'm curious to hear what you have to
Oh,
say. To hire SLPs for their business just in 1 year. Is that common?
not for me.
Okay. Okay.
No, We don't pay for a whole lot of ads. We haven't had to at this point in time. Something else that I didn't mention is we contact a lot of clinic directors at universities, and they send out our links to our advertisements when we're advertising for any clinical position. So we have that ability too, and we've gotten good feedback from that. We get good feedback from our other employees, sending people in and doing interviews that way. But I think the biggest thing is we use Bamboo HR, and Bamboo HR does a really good job of sending those to Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and Glassdoor so that we get those applicants in on a pretty regular basis. We are just now starting to get into Handshake a little bit more so that we have the ability to reach out to those graduates that are coming up, especially in May. May is a really good time to hire.
I haven't heard of Handshake. What is that?
It's an online platform for universities. The students go in and put their resumes in there, and then you can you can post a free ad, but you're very limited into who you can see. You can send out 20, I think it's 20 or 25 emails per month based on the candidates that are for your particular job that you're looking for, or you can pay, and there's a fee that you can pay, and that has a lot more benefits.
Mm.
So that's something we're really starting to reach out to because we get a really good list of current graduates, recent graduates, students that are looking for internship opportunities. Internship opportunities have been good for us too because we do a lot of students, and then a lot of times we'll convert those into a full-time position as well.
Yeah, and then if you have opportunities for them to grow, I'm sure there's the incentive to stay as well.
We do. We have a ladder program. We
That's
have a
great.
ladder program for our clinic and for what we call administrative ladder, but that's for everybody that's not a clinician. And they have the opportunity to do a lot of training. They have to meet a lot of certain guidelines to move from one place in the ladder to the next. And then for each step in the ladder, there are certain jobs that they will qualify for. For instance, at the first rung is you kind of start below zero
Mhm.
when you first come on. And then the first rung or things. There's a couple of books that we have them read, just team building books. They have to know how to or have an idea of how to manage by statistics and what their targets are. There's a communication part to it where they have to be able to communicate well with other therapists, with other staff members that are not therapists, parents. And there's kind of a list of about 7 things that we look at, and they have to meet each one before they can move to the next rung.
Mm. That's a great idea. I think it's these little things that are so important in a business because I bet it seems like the time investment in the beginning can be a lot, but it builds these really solid systems that are more beneficial in the long run.
That's exactly right. Yes, we spend a lot of time up front, and that's important for that training and to make them feel comfortable because when they do feel comfortable, I feel like they are more educated and will stay a lot longer because they know what they're getting themselves into. We
Yeah,
always
they're more
talk about
invested.
expectations at the initial interview. So, if they don't feel like they can live up to our expectations, then we know that, this is a good time to just cut that off. And that's understood by them and it's understood by us so that we're not hiring the person that's not going to be on our bus that can come in, get trained and say, this is too much for me.
Mhm.
So we try to make those expectations known up front.
That makes sense. I know it's really hard with insurance, but do you have a system where you provide raises and does your HR handle that? Because it did in companies that I've worked for, but they weren't clinical in nature. It was an AAC consultant, for example. So HR would review us yearly and then we would get a raise based on that. But I'm just curious.
We do. We have a couple of different options. Typically, we review on their 1 year anniversary. We have performance appraisals that are done by their direct supervisor. Then we have a peer review that we send out to random people. And we stress this is not something that you bash your fellow
Mhm.
employees because they don't doing that anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a good opportunity for them to tell us what these people are doing right,
Mm.
what these people are doing well. And we can use those people that do things well to train other people how to do it just as well as they do. And then they do a self assessment. And we set goals for every year and professional goals. A lot of that's the ladder system or, extra training that they want. professionally, and sometimes they put personal goals on there. So we set that up. With new employees, we do 30, 60, 90-day appraisals just so that they can see where they need help because they're really good at indicating, okay, this is what I need help with so we can help them.
Have you ever wondered how much time it takes to run a business, how to build a profitable business? Am I even qualified to be an entrepreneur? And what legal considerations do I need to know? If so, you are not alone. We had the same questions because the reality is most graduate programs don't cover business. Yet many SLPs find themselves in the business world, from private practice to product development, school contracting, and so much more. That's why we're excited to share about a virtual event for SLPs looking to start or grow a business. It's the second annual SLP Creative Con, and it takes place on Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. I've teamed up with 6 other speakers to cover business topics like School Contracting 101 with Elise Mitchell, Bookkeeping 101 with my personal bookkeeper, Private Practice Branding with Marsha Church, Social Media Marketing with Sarah Brashears from Social Moguls, Finding an Office with Niche Fraser, and AI Tools for SLPs with my friend Dej Mitchell. And the best part is, SLP Creative Con registration is now open, and I've got some fantastic news for those of you who sign up early, including a free ticket to the live event and early access pricing for VIPs who want the replays and CEUs. Go to slpcreativecon.com or message the word business to Speechie Side Up on Instagram, and I'll send you all the details. If you're ready to start or grow your business, then make sure you register for SLP Creative Con before early access ends on March 22nd at midnight. It's time to make those business dreams a reality, my friend. When did you start implementing that? Was that when HR came on board?
We had done some of that before we were doing more annual reviews and giving raises once a year. Last year, we changed things a little bit to a different salary and bonus structure. The reason we did that is because we really wanted to reward those people who were working so hard and seeing so much. So for our therapists, we have a base salary that they get based on the number of hours they want to work. They choose that. And then they get a base salary. And then everything above 50% productivity, we pay a certain amount per unit. So it's a very good incentive, and we've seen our productivity levels shoot through the roof because they know they're gonna make a lot of money if they do that, and a lot of people these days are motivated by money, of course, because of the way everything is, but it's been a life changer. Our 2023 goal was or mantra was, "Own your own caseload." So they have learned, our therapists have learned to get in there and make calls to our parents who have canceled, and they try to get them back on the schedule. Our front desk does the same thing. Our front desk is also bonus. So it's been a game changer for us to be able to provide that.
Hmm. So in your clinics, let's say, do your kids see different therapists a lot, or is it pretty much the same therapist?
It's pretty much the same one. If they have to cancel and reschedule, it may be somebody different. And when they come in, I have always told our parents, you can't expect to see the same therapist 100% of the time. It's not realistic. It's not what these kids need. They need to be able to do some of those transitions. And although
Yeah.
we're not going to change it every single time, they need to be able to learn how to go from this person to this person to this person because when they're in school, they're always seeing different teachers. So we try to prepare them for that.
Okay. Yeah, that was similar to what I experienced when I was working in a clinic.
Mhm.
So, what are some recommendations for retaining employees? What do you do to retain staff and make them happy so they want to stay?
First thing is retention is everybody's job. We let everybody know in the whole company, you're responsible for helping retain these staff. We do a lot of education on our vision, mission, and core values so they know what our expectations are and they can jump in and do those things from the very beginning. We do a lot to build culture. One of our clinics does monthly outings. So they go out one night a month and have a good time just as friends, not as colleagues, so to speak. These ideas have come from other people. I'm not recreating the wheel here. We have a social leader at each clinic that helps with celebrating birthdays and anniversaries and some of those babies and some of those milestones that are really important. Again, we offer growth opportunities through the ladder. The bonuses are a really good retention thing. The social leader will create different, other than the outings, they may create things in the clinic, dress up days and door decoration days and little things that are fun for them. And we'll have little competitions sometimes. We always train and teach them how to lead because we want to create leaders. And that way they know that they're growing in their professional life so that they're making those bigger decisions, and we try to give them bigger decisions to make all the time. One thing that we have is a problem-solving policy. We are 100% about if you see a problem, bring it to us. But if you see a problem, bring it to us with a solution. And if we don't know the problem and you're in the trenches, you need to be the one that helps with the solution. So we want to encourage them to make those decisions. Even if it's not going to be 100%, what they're suggesting, at least that gives us an opportunity to look at it between what we have made in stone and what they're telling us to come in the middle somewhere and do a compromise. We do staff surveys once or twice a year that go out that they can tell us what's going good and what's not going so good in the company. So we can take a look at those and see where we as a company need to grow. So we always want to let our staff have a voice in the company as well. We do little incentives. We have $5 gift cards that we keep at the clinic sometimes. And if somebody's going above and beyond, we just hand out a $5 gift certificate or a gift card to Starbucks or Amazon or something like that. We do a lot of games, productivity games. Whoever sees the most kids this month, then we'll give you a certain prize. We do ice cream parties. We send cookies every now and then. And we do one day a week things and they rotate. So sometimes we do milkshake Mondays. Sometimes we do tea bomb Tuesdays, which are the loaded teas that are popular not right now. We do a win it will Wednesday, and we have a spinning wheel that we ordered off of Amazon, and we just put different things in there, $5 gift card, facial mask, different things in there that they spin and they can win certain things. We have Thursdays where we'll go to Sonic or somewhere and get drinks for them all. And then Fridays are free day Fridays where they can wear jeans or, something a little bit less standardized in uniform. So those are some ideas that we had as well. We have started just this year, we've started a certificate and pen program. So like lapel pins. So in the steps of the ladder, when they do certain steps on the ladder, they receive a certificate or a pin. Same thing with certificates on when they're going through all of their onboarding. So everybody has a small little cork board in their rooms with their names on it. And every time they get a pin, they stick their pin in there so they can kind of see how many pins. And we have a lot of healthy competition. So they're all about, I'm going to have more pins than you do. So
That's
it's good for
awesome.
healthy competition. We have candy in the clinic almost all the time, so everybody knows where the candy jar is. And then, we do some company swag sometimes too with T-shirts and bags and cups, that kind of thing. So those are some things that we do all the time to try to keep that morale up.
I love that. Those are all really fun ideas. And I like some of the things you said, like retention is everybody's job, bring the problem with a solution. I think that's great. With HR in place, do you find that when SLPs do have trouble that they're talking with HR? Are you further removed from those type of smaller situations now?
I am. We have our organization board. So all of our staff know kind of the way to go up the organization board. So if it's a clinical issue and it's a staff therapist, they go to their lead therapist. If the lead therapist doesn't know the answer or can't handle it, it goes to the assistant clinic manager, then the clinic manager, and then the COO. If it goes past the COO to me, it's a pretty significant problem. So, but I'm lucky enough to have all of those steps in the org board that we have really good results from the juniors just going to their next senior up.
Yeah. So you were a therapist.
Mhm.
You started your practice in 2018. Fast forward to 2024. How did you learn all of this stuff? Just
To be
simply.
honest to be honest, it was through a lot of programs through survival strategies. I've done several
Okay.
programs and, just learning that way and learning from other private practice owners. And those private practice owners have been really good at sharing information. So when I first started out, it was complete shock to me. I had never even thought about doing a private practice and decided that I wanted to do that. And 9 months later, I opened my first clinic. So it was a learning process. I did have a friend who owned a occupational therapy clinic that asked me to come on board and get her speech therapy program a little bit more standardized and a little bit more like the caseload a little bit higher. So I did that. So I had her as a mentor as well to be able to see how she was running her practice so I could mold mine into something similar. I mean, they're obviously
Mhm.
different, but she gave me some really good ideas and some good mentorship.
And she knew that you were gonna be branching out on your own after a while?
She was the one that told me I needed to.
Okay.
And my first reaction was, "No way. I don't know
Yeah,
anything about billing insurance. I don't know anything about a private practice." And she was like, "You really have what it takes. You should do it." So 9 months later, I did, thanks to
that's
her.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. And you have OTs too, but is there healthy competition? Are you guys in the same area? How does that work?
We're about an hour apart, and I
Okay.
personally don't feel like anybody's competition. We are all in this together. There are so many kids to go around that need treatment.
Mm,
So I don't feel like I'm in competition with people. And part of that is because we have really concentrated on building a good reputation for the spot clinic. And people want to come to us. We want people to want to come to us. We want physicians to send their people to us. So that way, that's the reason I don't really think of competition. There's we refer to other clinics at times, they refer to us. I've got a speech pathologist that does voice therapy, and that's her area of expertise. That's not our area of
mhm.
expertise. So while we're training on that, we are sending all of those voice people to her. And then we have a lot of children that have autism. So we have a lot of people that refer those to us because they don't feel behavior issues are their forte. So it's
Mhm.
just a referral back and forth, and to make sure that everybody wants to work together.
Yeah. Well, this has been so inspiring, I think is the appropriate word for this, just to see how you've grown this in just such a short amount of time. And it is very professional. If anybody who's listening has ever worked for a larger company, that's exactly what they do. They have HR in place, they have the ladder, they have the incentives, they have the bonus structure. So kudos to you for having all of those in place. And that's really amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, enjoy the rest of the conference. I am definitely
Thank
going to
you.
be looking into it now because it sounds great. And until next time.
Thank you so much.